Hey, what's up guys? Emmanuel from Real Estate Visual here. So things are pretty crazy in the world right now. Picture this, you've been in a coma for 2 months and upon waking up the first week of April, you check your phone and you see headlines like these. 4 billion people, roughly half the world's population, is under some sort of quarantine. Canadian crude is so cheap, it costs more to ship than to buy. Of course, we're talking about oil prices being below $5 a barrel this week. And obviously at $5 a barrel, no oil company is going to be profitable at this price. So many of us are expecting layoffs, leaving Calgarians uncertain about their employment situation. And no, this is unfortunately not some sort of terrible April Fool's joke. This is our reality right now. So, which leads me to the reason why I'm making this video. I want to share my story of how I started my real estate photography business because I was in a similar situation back in 2014 when I lost my job in the previous oil crash in oil and gas. So my hope is that this video will provide some inspiration to those of you out there who have thought about being your own boss, who just go out there and give it a shot. And I know what you're thinking, Emmanuel, I might be losing my job, money is tight, is this really a good time to be starting a business? So before I jump into my story, here's a few things to note about my situation. Number one, I didn't have any business related experience before starting my real estate photography company. I was an engineer, so I've always had a math and science background. Everything that I've learned about running your own business, I learned as I went. Number two, I didn't take out a loan from the bank or from family and friends to start this business. I started this business on a very small budget. And luckily for myself, I did have a background in photography, so I was able to use some of the equipment that I had lying around to start my business. It was quite minimal at the very beginning. It wasn't until I was more established, I made some money before I was able to upgrade some of my gear. And number three, this is not a rags to riches story. I go to work just like everybody else. I have found that my lifestyle has improved quite a bit since working for myself and being able to make my own schedule. That's something I really like about owning my own company. But if you're somebody out there who's looking for something to make money really, really fast or some sort of get rich quick scheme, I'm sorry to disappoint you. This might not be the video for you. Okay, so here we go. I went to school for engineering here in Calgary at the U of C, and I graduated in 2011. I remember things were pretty good back then. I was able to find a job in oil and gas, no problem. I had steady work from 2011 to about 2014. That was right about when oil price crashed from $100 down to about $50, and things were looking pretty shaky. So I remember being laid off in late 2015 after surviving about 3 rounds of layoffs. And if I'm being honest, when I got laid off, things were pretty scary. I had just purchased this home that I'm living in right now. So if you can imagine, a new engineer, a few years out of school, not a whole lot of money, and I just signed this big mortgage, and then I find out that I got laid off about 6 months later. And after getting laid off, I was applying everywhere online for jobs, trying to set up coffee meetings with different managers. I was just simply trying to get my job back, but it wasn't happening. Back then, and much like these times, jobs were really, really hard to come by. So during my free time, when I was unemployed, I picked up my camera. I started shooting just kind of random photos. I would go for walks downtown. I would do a couple of just side jobs here. I picked up a few jobs in weddings, and I did some family portraits. And I was just posting my photos online, sharing them with friends over Facebook, of photos that I had recently taken. And one of my friends who was a realtor here in Calgary had given me a call, and he said, "Hey, I saw your photos online that you had been posting, and I was just wondering if you had any interest in coming and shooting one of my listings." So back then I didn't know anything about real estate. I didn't know anything about how to take proper photos of a house, but I didn't have anything better to do that week. So I accepted this offer, and I quickly started doing research on how to shoot a house and how to do real estate photography. I watched YouTube videos, I had read a bunch of articles, and I remember I made some notes about how to shoot a house for the very first time. And I brought this notepad to my first real estate shoot. I was super nervous. I've never shown it to somebody's house with a camera, so I didn't really know how to handle myself. And I remember the appointment took forever. It took like 2 or 3 hours because I was being so meticulous, trying not to forget everything I've read online and trying not to miss any photos of the house. And the seller was probably wondering, who is this new guy? He doesn't look like he knows what he's doing at all, and he's taking forever at my house. So long story short, after that first appointment, luckily I was able to salvage some of the photos from the appointment, and I gave it to my friend. I think he was able to at least use a few of them. And at this point, I did get another opportunity to shoot a second house for my friend. Maybe he liked some of the photos from the first appointment, or maybe he just felt bad for me, but he did ask me to come back next week because he had a second listing for me to shoot. So at this point, I was just committed to getting a bit better than I did in the first appointment. So I went home and I analyzed the photos that I took, where it went wrong, the mistakes that I made, and what took so long in the first appointment before going into my second real estate shoot. And luckily for me, the second one, I was still taking a long time, but there was a little bit of improvement and the photos looked a little bit better. And from that point, the second appointment led to the third, led to the fourth. And I remember I did a handful of appointments for my friend. And by the end of the fifth appointment, he was quite pleased with the result. So he said to me, hey, look, Emmanuel, your photos are getting really good. And I think there might be an opportunity for me to introduce you to some of my colleagues who might be needing your service. And at that point, I was just ecstatic to be getting more business. You know, I went from being an engineer who was laid off without a job, without an income, to finding this thing that I really like to do. And it's slowly building, but I am producing an income for myself, and it's an opportunity where I can grow a business. So I was able to reach out to some of the contacts that my friend had introduced me to, and I did some shoots for them. And at that point, I was ready to grow my business. So there's a few things that I did. I approached real estate brokerages and I did presentations there to get my name out. I hit the pavement. I also went to realtor open houses. I handed out my business cards. I made cold calls. I basically did everything that I could in my power to get my name out, so people to know what I'm doing. So fast forward to today, about 5 years later, this is what I'm doing full time. I was able to build a business from something I was doing just for fun to something where I'm earning an income and I'm able to support my lifestyle. But from that point when I first started to about now, there really isn't a whole lot of excitement that I can share with you. If my life was a story, I think there would be some inspirational music and I would be achieving these epic goals. But in reality, it was just improving from the previous shoots, analyzing where I went wrong, things that I might have done right, and just getting a little bit better every day. So I just want to wrap up this video with one of my favorite quotes, and it goes like this. Try not to be a person of success, but rather a person of value, and success will come. I really like this quote, and I think it serves as a compass for me just in everyday general life, as well as in business. I think sometimes as a new business owner, we focus on so much on where the revenue is going to come from, that becomes your focal point as opposed to serving your clients and just making sure that any and every customer that comes through your door leaves a happy customer. And I think if you focus on that, no matter what business you're in, you're going to have a really high chance of success. So that's it for my video. Thank you for watching. I appreciate your time. I also want to give a special shout out to all of my clients and my friend who helped me start this business. It literally could not have been possible without all your help and all your support. So I really appreciate it. Thank you. And with that, everybody wash your hands, stay informed, and stay safe. Till next time.